Fender Hot Rod Deluxe is an absolute workhorse of an amp. As a full-time guitar tech, yeah, I know it's not perfect, but it's been worked incredibly hard out there in the live music scene, and there are an absolute ton of these amps out there. Most musicians that I do repairs and mods for use it primarily as a clean platform for pedals, with not many of them are rating or even really liking the distortion channel. I want to change that perception today with a pretty easy mod. Now, the biggest challenge is going to be just modding that drive channel without affecting the clean channel, because at the end of the day, the clean channel is really the star of this amplifier. To do this, I researched a few amplifiers well known for their overdrive and distortion sound. So primarily the Marshall Silver Jubilee and the Mesa Boogie Dual Rectifier, and also I threw in a few of my own ideas as well. Once I had something that I felt was really good, the next step was to distill it down to its core elements of what actually made it sound really good. That way it can be really easy to install with minimum amount of changes. Because at the end of the day, circuit mods like this don't have to be complex to sound super great, and I think a lot of mods out there are just overcomplicated for the sake of being complicated. Now, these upgrades today aren't exclusive just to these amplifiers. They can be used over loads of different amplifiers, but today I'm going to be installing them in a Hot Rod Deluxe 4. Before we dive in, have a quick listen to how it sounds. Right, I'm not going to muck around too much. We'll just go through a few examples really quickly. So here is a really low gain sound on the yellow channel, so the lower gain one. Now, you'll probably notice it just sounds way less woolly. It sounds way more alive to me, and the compression feels really good while you're playing. And that's because of that sort of that secret package in there. Those components are used in some really, really nice compressors, those exact same components. So it's kind of responsible for why it sort of feels the way it does. It seems to work really well anyway with this particular mod. So this is like low gain, like about 3. So for me, that's a nice edge of breakup sound. And as we just crank it up, it comes in a lot more, I think, a lot more naturally than it did before. So for me, that's a really cool sound. I love that sound. Anyway, let's crank it up a bit more. This is at the sort of upper end of the lower gain sound. Okay, we're going to move on to that red channel now. This is kind of cool because instead of it just being so much more gain, it's really revoicing that channel just a touch, giving it a different sort of texture as well. So have a listen. This is on 3 on the drive, and have a listen to this. It's still not super high gain. If you compare that with the yellow channel, which is a little bit thicker. And that's because those sort of the secret package, or whatever we're going to call it, hasn't kind of turned on properly yet. So they kind of sound pretty similar. All right, let's crank it up. And as you get up to like 5 or 6, for me, this channel is the most versatile out of the two. It's a bit sharper, it's a bit tighter in the low end as the first channel, or it's less warm, I should say. It's got really good articulation. Yeah, I really like that. Right, so we'll crank it up to sort of 8 or 9 on that drive now, and it sort of gets close to sort of like hard rock, I suppose. Probably EQ that a little bit more. That was pretty cool. I quite like that sound. It's got a lot of sustain there. I'm using my humbucker on this one. If I go back to my neck pickup. Yeah, that's an awesome channel. I love that red channel. That's my favorite. It's just really inspiring to play, and the way it feels is awesome. It just feels so natural, and the way it compresses is so much nicer than the stock sound. I mean, I can get some cool sounds out of that stock sound, but it's not a stereotypical sort of good overdrive, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. I never like to say anything is bad. It's just, is it my thing or is it not my thing? And it's definitely not so much my thing. It's not a sound I'd gravitate towards. Chuck in this mod and see how it goes, man, and we'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to go into the installation next maybe, or I might have already done it. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this yet in this video, but it is a stellar mod. It sounds really, really awesome. Chuck it inside your amps and try it in your DeVille. Have a go with these concepts and different amps too. They work so well. Cheers, guys. Right, so I'm going to show you how to install this mod. It's actually pretty easy. Now, for Plus members, I've got 3 different schematics. I've got the Hot Rod Deluxe, I've got the Hot Rod Deluxe III, and the Hot Rod Deluxe IV, this one here, over on my website for you guys with the mods included and installed in there. And if you just want to support the channel, I'm going to have those in the web shop as well, but you don't need the schematic. You can just follow along here and you should be sweet. Interestingly, the Deluxe and the DeVille are basically the same amp, just with a different speaker configuration, pretty much. So if you've got a DeVille, you can do this to that as well. The first thing we need to do is remove this back panel. So we've got 6 bolts here. Let's get these out first. Right, so once you've got all those bolts out, this just pops off nice and easy. And there is the circuit board. This is the part that I want to stress to you guys. It can be quite dangerous working on valve amplifiers. There can be hidden voltage in there just waiting to zap you. So please check out my video on how to work on these amps safely. And if you're not comfortable with it, just get your local tech to install this mod for you. I'm sure they can suss it out. It's a pretty easy mod. So the next step for me is draining these capacitors, making sure it's safe to work on. And then there's a row of screws here along the bottom, and there's all these controls at the top I have to disassemble so I can pop this board out. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so this is the board out. I have to say, on these Deluxe 4s, the boards are a lot easier to get out. They've definitely altered a few things. They've lifted those resistors off the board just to help dissipate a bit of heat. I mean, there's a few issues with these amps, but I would have no fear of buying one, because you just got to put it into context. There are so many of these amps out there, and they're not being played in bedrooms, they're being played in bars and clubs getting thrashed, okay? And that's why they tend to come in a lot for little niggly issues. The first part of the mod, on the drive pot here, you want to put a 1 nanofarad capacitor across these 2 lugs. This is essentially a treble bleed, so it's letting a lot of high end get around this pot, and that's just going to tighten up the whole drive sound and just make it sound a lot more clearer and less woolly. The next one I replaced was this yellow one here, C8. So I put in a 1 UF capacitor there and moved the electrolytic out of there. Now that is for the drive section. That's just going to tighten up that more drive setting, so it's just not so overwhelming and full on. So the other one is C9. That just needs to be removed. Just get that out of the circuit completely. The last couple of mods. Right here is R22. Now you want to put a 470 picofarad capacitor in parallel with that one. So I'm using a 2 kilovolt 470 picofarad capacitor. And up under here is the secret package here, and this is kind of the thing that really makes this sound awesome. The Marshall Silver Jubilee is regarded as one of the best rock and blues amps ever for its lead channel. That incredible lead channel it has, Slash, Joe Bonamassa. I mean, there's a massive list of people that use that amp. One of the secrets about that amp is the lead channel isn't actually fully tube. It uses some solid state circuitry to help get that saturation level, because it doesn't have enough tube stages to really achieve it. And that's what I've done in here. I've used a concoction of LEDs. Inside this package is 6 3mm blue LEDs. Now blue is important because it has a different forward voltage to a lot of the other colors. It has a higher forward voltage. We've got 3 in series, and then another 3 in series anti-parallel. Okay, so 3x3 anti-parallel and a 470 picofarad capacitor in parallel with that complete package. Then you're going to attach a wire to each side of that package and run 1 wire to the top of R20 here, and the other wire runs to the top of R21, which is ground. And I'm using that ground point because it's just part of the same circuitry in the same area, and I kind of like to keep all the grounds in that area connected. What that gives us is some diode clipping between 2 of those stages, right after that 3rd stage and in between that 4th stage. but it won't affect the clean channel, which is awesome. So it kind of is what gives it its feel. You can use things like xenodiodes in there, but for me, I've never liked the xenodiodes at all. They give a weird sort of compression, and they give some sort of strange artifacts too while you're playing. So that is the mod. So next step is you've just got to test it. So you want to get your amp warmed up. So I haven't actually tightened everything up yet. I've just got it sort of tacked in there, and I'm going to turn my volumes up a little bit, sort of set these around halfway, crank the drive up a little bit, maybe put it on the yellow mode, turn that one down. So it's on the drive channel. So as soon as I turn this on, we should get some sound. Okay, my guitar, I'm going to turn it up. Sweet, so that sounds great. Okay, so now it's time to button it all back up properly and give it a proper test. I want to see what it feels like. Make sure when you do this, double check all your component values, make sure the polarities are correct, especially for those capacitors, those cathode bypass ones. Just double check all your connections, that everything's in the right spot. It's better just to do it one time and do it right. So I spend quite a bit of time just kind of double and triple checking everything. Next is just buttoning this back up, and we'll get it back up into that studio and have a bit of a jam.